Oh, you already know what time it is. We are back again for another episode of Wrapped. Stay tuned. As I said, before the break, we are back for another episode of Wrapped. And if it's your first time to Wrapped, this is where we take everything that is interesting, controversial, salacious, and we wrap it up into a nice little bow for you. Give you some, I would say, expert commentary because we, call ourselves experts today. So, as usual, I have my guests. Paul over Finance, my man Aaron.
Aaron. That's what a lot of people have been saying. Aaron.
That must have been really annoying after that P and Keith's. That must have been really
we're probably
annoying.
Like 10 years deep, and I still hear Aaron. Like, okay, I get it.
Really original there, guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, my name is K Styles, and today we're talking about August. And August came in like a raging bull in a china shop, bro. It was just like we started off like August 1st, and it was just flames. So
went hard.
We're gonna jump into what was probably, it seems like it does feel like 2 months ago, but the Alabama fight that was likened to an Avengers Endgame style brawl. And I'll be real with you, I'm kind of memed out at the moment, but while this was happening, it was hilarious. It was so crazy. Like, what were your initial thoughts on this?
Well, when I saw the initial video, I didn't even know what the hell it was. I honestly, based on, and this has nothing to do with the Alabama thing, but people seem to, and I don't know how it happens, but it seems like phones are getting better and better and better and better. But anytime I see the recording of something, it's like, this thing looks like it was recorded when cell phones when cameras first got the other way around. Yeah, when cell phones first got cameras, it's like these things look like they're recorded on potatoes, all greasy, and it's terrible, man. So I don't understand why the quality is so bad. So when I first saw it, I was like, this looks like something from XYZ time ago. Somebody recorded it, did whatever with it, and it's funny. Then I came to realize, oh no, this is actually a modern day thing. And once I realized that, then the hilarity ensued. For me, it was mostly funny. Some people took it and turned it into something that is about race, because I guess, it was clearly white people fighting black people and vice versa. But for me, the whole thing was just a complete comic act, the entire thing.
Yeah, it was very funny. And it was one of those things where, I do think the race thing got played up a lot, but it was funny to watch also white people who were like, yeah, they definitely deserve that whole ass whipping, especially when they were
okay. It
was very interesting. I wasn't expecting that response, because the black people that I spoke to about it, they were just like, well, This is what it is. It is what it is. But I was surprised that there were white people that believed this the same way, and it didn't become about race. It became about like stupidity, and it being kind of checked. But the honorable mentions was like Aquaman, who swam from the damn boat all the way, and then was throwing hands. That man should go into should be a triathlon, bro. Like that, he should get himself into, because to swim and then throw hands, bro, that's a lot.
Man's in good shape. As someone that used to swim, it takes a lot of cardiovascular energy to be able to swim. But to swim, then pull yourself up on the dock and then proceed to lay out people, that man deserves a round of applause for his ability to show 100%. Complete resilience in a time of need.
100%.
But in naming the honorable mentions, we cannot forego our man Uncle Jesse with the chair, who who was just going WWE Royal Rumble on all these people, man.
Every time, right before he swung that thing, all I keep hearing is, "It's John Cena." It was just so crazy how that happened. And I ended up watching the like press release, not press release, but they had like where the cops kind of talk about the case. And it was so interesting because it shows kind of like how disinformation happens really quickly, because everybody was saying this guy was a security guard, and he was
the original dude,
the guy who threw his hat up with the Bobby Smurder.
He sent out the bat signal,
bro,
that dude.
But it turned out he was actually a co-captain on the vessel. So he literally, apparently this was a long time they were waiting. They sent another boat to bring this guy back to talk to the people, I guess under the assumption that, like, okay, well, I'm a captain on here, so, like, I'm trying to let you know I really need to get here.
Right.
Didn't make a difference. They started to throw hands. And, it's so funny because watching that video, like the Dave Chappelle skit when he was like, at this moment, they realized
this is when he knew you.
This is when he knew, and you can tell there was a couple moments when they realized that when they beat that man out his Crocs, bro. He knew.
that was definitely one of those when keeping it real goes wrong moments. Because but you know what, it was a well-deserved ass whooping, because from everything that I saw, and for the people who weren't race baiters, the people who weren't making this into a race thing, anyone just watching this video could clearly see there was a right and there was a wrong. And for me, you're wrong in the first place because you're not supposed to be there. The guy's telling you to get the hell out of here, and you're choosing to disobey quote unquote authority. All right, whatever. You're in the man's face. Now you're putting hands on the man. And it's not just one, it's not just two. It was like 3 or 4 of you originally putting hands on him. What did you expect was going to happen as we watched 3 or 4? And it's not all guys that are around his age range. We're looking at younger guys and older guys putting hands and feet on him around a dock that is filled with people that look like him. What did you expect was going to happen? Even if they didn't look like him, I think those people would have jumped in. You can't gang up on one person and expect a bunch of people to stand by and just watch this happen. Somebody's going to join. And kind of the way it goes, it's 4 of you, so more than one person is going to come. And this was the definition of on site.
And it was a day of reckoning, because I think that it calibrated I guess this goes into the racing, but it calibrated their privilege a little bit, because they assumed that, well, I've been coming to this dock. We don't know them, so I'm assuming, but like, I've been coming to this dock and parking my thing here all this time. I can do whatever I want, and not today.
That was not they made too many wrong decisions that day, and they paid dearly for it. So that was how the month of August came in.
That's what I'm saying.
And that I don't think that there was anything that was going to happen this month that was going to be able to foreshadow anything that happened in that however many minutes this fight went on. This was the biggest, most hilarious, most spoken about event in all of August.
Listen, it was so ridiculous. You saw like the people buying folding chairs and walking into Walmart. Hey, you got the folding chair special. Like it went crazy. It was as viral as a moment that we have seen in a long time. And I think we
top
needed
3 in
some of that.
2023 so far, hands down. I
definitely think so. I think when we're doing the recap for this year, this is going to be talked about, because it's
top 3.
It's still one of the biggest things. I mean, yeah.
We got 4 months to go. Let's see, but I don't see anything. Don't
jinx it, my man. Oh God. Hey,
as long as I'm not one of the top stories, I'm good. At least not in that respect. I don't exactly. For something else, maybe.
Yeah. Well, moving right along to which came Fast and Furious right around that same time, and left what I feel like faster actually, was the Lizzo scandal. So what seemed like a week of press run was done by her ex dancers, and it was about her being kind of an asshole to them when well, I tried to find a diplomatic way, but essentially it was like she was giving them crap for, you know, like putting on weight and, you know, accusing
Which
them
is
of
so weird.
I mean, we'll get into that, but accusing them of like being drunk at you know, at staff meetings. It was just a lot, and she had fired all of them, and it came out of nowhere. And then it also disappeared very quickly because I don't think Lizzo ever officially responded to that. And
not that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
I don't remember there being anything official by her, but, you know, it is out there. And from my understanding, they are suing her.
That's what it sounded like. But even that, it felt like a 1 week press run. We saw it everywhere and then nowhere. And I was like, what is happening here? It's very interesting. But there's so many people that had different feelings around it. I feel like it's hard to really know what happened there. That's just why I was expecting Lizzo to at least say something. But like, if you were to try to demean or destroy somebody's career, you would kind of take the things that you know would probably affect them the most. So like in Lizzo case, she's been a very
she's a fat advocate.
Wow.
She is.
I mean, I didn't know how. I was trying to find a diplomatic way to say that, but yes. Okay,
I mean, how much more diplomatic can you be than to say she's an advocate for fat people? Isn't like, how else can you say she's an advocate for plus-sized individuals? I mean, how else do you want to put it?
Well, the biggest thing was, you know, Lizzo was the person that everybody who was a little, you know, may not be happy with their body. She was a body positive. That's what I was looking for.
That's how you're looking to go for.
A body positive.
Body positivity.
So when it came out that she was like firing people because they put on a little bit of weight and they're dancers, it just seems wrong. And it seems wrong just because it goes against everything that she was standing for.
Exactly. And gaining weight is a positive thing because, you know, if you lose weight, negative, the scale goes down. So if the scale is going up, that's positive. So I don't understand what the problem is here, but apparently she didn't like that. She didn't like that. She didn't like the fact that they were not big fans of potassium. They were not getting their daily potassium intake, and she was trying to make sure that they consumed enough potassium in Amsterdam, of all places. They refused the potassium. That was not something that Lizzo was messing with.
Please give more insight into this potassium thing.
Okay, so my understanding is from the story, allegedly, Amsterdam, as we all know, is one of those places, at least in the red light district, is one of those places where people go to, quote unquote, get their shit off. And apparently, there's this club in the red light district that has all kinds of acts that take place. One of the acts is the performers insert bananas into themselves, and the patrons get to go consume these bananas. And apparently, Lizzo was trying to make sure that her staff was high on potassium. You know, if you're traveling and you're doing a lot of these things, I'm just saying.
Stop it.
As you're moving around, there is a good chance that you could be vitamin deficient. And Lizzo, being the body positivity movement activist advocate that she is, she was just trying to make sure that her staff had an adequate amount of their vitamins that day, and they didn't like that. So that's one of the things that they're alleging.
Yeah, he said that quite eloquently and comedically. But I just, you know, it's just all these things just don't feel, they felt against, you know, what what we have come to know from Lizzo. Now, Lizzo, I feel like,
is it really though?
I think so. I don't think it. I was going to say I don't think she shies away from any kind of controversy. So when she had those hot cross big buns out on the stadium seats, you know, that was a big thing. You know, like, so she, you know, she's used to controversy, but this feels, if the controversy feels a little bit too perfectly crafted in my mind.
So, of course, all of this alleged. Are you saying that you don't believe? You don't believe these people?
I don't know what to believe. I feel like it was just done. And the part about it that made me slightly not believe it was how well all of their stories perfectly were repeated. Like literally it's like you sat down with a PR person and a lawyer and said, hey, we're going to do a press run about all these things. And if you watch 4 of those things, they said the exact same thing. Now, that doesn't mean that they're false, but it does mean that they're coached a little bit, which, you know.
So you're saying that this sounds like it's a little bit too much of a concerted effort. Like maybe they came together to take down Lizzo.
Well, I think that there was definitely some planned orchestration to try to defame Lizzo a little bit. And whether these things are real or not, I can't speak to. I'm not an expert. I don't dance in her thing, but
so
that sounded crazy.
These are the small guys in this whole thing here. So is it safe to say that you're standing with Goliath and not David?
But here's the thing. We don't know that, but
we don't.
We don't. And it's like,
we don't.
I don't know.
And here at In Crowd, we don't speak on things as if they are fact before it is hashed out in the court of law. So we're kind of going to have to just sit back and wait to see what's happening. But we're putting you onto what happened, and this is what is being alleged. So maybe you could tell us how you feel in the comments below.
To answer your question, I don't think that I'm choosing her side over anything. I think that I, with most cases, want to have more information. And it just feels like if someone came out tomorrow and said, you know, Aaron is, I don't know, you're robbing everybody for money, I would like, and they say it 4 times the exact same way. And I'm like, I know the human brain and how it works. I just would like to know more. I would have more information. So it's
you're not just going to kick my back in.
Nah, man. I would be like, son, like it doesn't sound right. It sounds like a well-crafted story. And if I know, like you're into finance and you're trying to do that, and I wanted to hurt your image, it's very easy for me to say, hey, he's stealing money from people.
Yeah, perfect.
And then people run with it. And that's why I'm saying it's just like, if they had said like, you know, Lizzo was, you know, making fun of their feet or something, like, no, that doesn't work because she's so body positive, but making fun of their accent or how they're talking or something like that, then I'll be like, okay, well, maybe she's just mean. But like, I don't know.
Would you say that it's comparable to people saying that Black Lives Matter stole money from Black people? It's like the perfect thing to attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So but that did happen.
It did happen.
Yeah.
It did.
It did happen. So anything's possible is what I'm saying.
Anything is possible. I'm just saying, I don't know if I'm in the place to side with one person or the other.
Yeah.
So I just say, we'll see. Time will tell. And we will, once there's an update, we will talk about it.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Until then, we're going to move on to another topic. And so if you are into streaming at all, if you hit Twitch, anywhere online that you see streaming, you know who Cenat is. I would say so. I would assume so. If you don't know who Cenat is, he's literally one of the biggest streamers. He actually got Streamer of the Year or something like that recently.
If I'm not mistaken, I think he actually this year became the biggest Twitch streamer, if I'm not mistaken, because there was a point when he did a countdown, and I think that countdown was to him becoming the biggest streamer on Twitch. So
if for the youngins, they all know. If you're a little older, you might not, but he's definitely one of the biggest players in the streaming world.
That's a fact.
And he decided to do a giveaway in the middle of New York City. And it turned into ultimate pandemonium.
Calamity.
Like it was just like people were destroying cars, people were and so there was a lot of different feelings there. And we had to talk about it because I think that even though that also was like the first couple weeks of August, and it feels like it all kind of went away, he was kind of crazy. So as someone in New York, I think you're the only one in New York now. Well, you are. I don't think. I know you are.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Did you feel a way? Did you feel like
I'm not in the New York City area, which is where this all went down. But that area, that specific area around Union Square, I've been there many, 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 many times. That's one of my old haunts. There used to be a Best Buy out there. There was a Barnes and Nobles that I used to frequent out there. I loved that part of, there's a lot of skaters and stuff out there. That is not the place to do something like that. It is an extremely busy area. I mean, most of Manhattan, if not all of Manhattan, is pretty busy, but that area is the absolute worst. You've got all kinds of trains because there's a train station over there. There's people skating. There's like this really weird way of moving around because traffic is coming from all sorts of different directions. That was not the place to do it if you were going to do something like that. I would think something like that, maybe you do it in the middle of Central Park or something because there's no cars, there's not going to be any businesses around. There's not going to be any traffic. It's like so if there was going to be a situation where you're going to try to pull something like that off without a permit, that would have been the place to go for something like that. But he did it anyway. Things were out of control. People got hurt. Property was damaged. Fights broke out. There was definitely tussles with the police, and I think ultimately he got arrested. And I think he was I don't know. He's got charges that are levied against him in terms of disturbing the peace and causing a riot and all these different things. But listen, his mindset and the original thought process going into this was clearly a thing of positivity. He wanted to do something to give back to the people. I just think it was poorly organized. And, he's a young guy. So he didn't think out all of the potential negatives that could come of this. He didn't seek a permit. And he didn't do things the right way. So, you live, you learn. He's so young. He's going to bounce back from this.
Also,
it's just unfortunate.
I think that the one positive for him is it's gonna solidify anything that him and his camp does as like the greatest.
Oh yeah. In terms of marketing,
like you couldn't pay for that. You literally could not pay for that. You were literally at that point, if you weren't a household name, he was a household name.
Basically, every news station here in New York was covering that.
That's what I'm saying.
So this guy was all over the news, and it's not just like legitimate news. He was on entertainment news and blogs, and I mean, he was everywhere, man. So like you said, even if you didn't know who Kai Cenat was before that day, after that day, you became fully aware. Because if I'm not mistaken, I heard there was even like helicopter footage of this stuff. Like that's crazy.
And like real life GTA stuff, bro. It was it was wild. But yeah, he, I think there's not much else to say to that. I think that he
just a young boy doing things and didn't do it right. I bet he'll get past it.
Yeah, he'll do it. I think hopefully he will learn. And now if he's doing this in every city, then we have some problems. That's the one area as I feel like there's a space to learn. And if he does it again, hopefully he'll go about doing it the right way.
If anything, being that it was in New York and it's a mostly urban audience that came out, if anything, I'm going to say is at least no one was out there getting shot or anything like that. Because, sometimes these kinds of situations can come up from this type of thing. So
100%.
at least nothing like that came out of it.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, moving along. This is an update to what was just like a whole lot of craziness over the last 2 years. But we're talking about Tory Lanez and his 10 years in prison. I mean, I don't know, man. When this case happened, I didn't expect it to go here. But it's unfortunate. I do, like there are people who are really, really upset about him. Like his father was like, "Oh, he's innocent," and I'm like, "Let's not go too far." Like,
let's not go too far. Why you believe he's guilty?
I am not an officiant of the law. I don't know, but like, he did something, right? Like,
Somebody shot Meg in the foot.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
and told her to dance. So
well, was that officially like confirmed that he said, dance bitch? I will say this. I will say this. At the risk of being canceled and all of that stuff. No, I'm not going to say anything out of control here. I'm not going to say anything out of control because, at the end of the day, what was done, regardless of if it was him or not, that was a disgusting act to fire on someone who is defenseless. And even if it was just a back and forth, it was just an argument. There's no reason to pull out a pistol.
Yeah.
But firing at someone's feet and saying "dance, bitch," yo, that's hilarious. That's like that makes me think of that dude like Yosemite I think Sam from the Bugs Bunny cartoons. Yo, that person. If that truly did happen, that's crazy. It's wrong, but that's funny.
The sad part about it is there's no how do you even argue against that? That was just some wild stuff to do there, sir. This is why, firearms and alcohol don't mix. They should never be used at the same time. So
not at all.
But hopefully he gets out on good behavior. Theoretically, I guess 10 years. He's already done at least one of those years, I guess, right?
That's such a long time for someone to be in prison for shooting at someone's foot.
Yeah, but it's also, look at what the gun laws are in.
It's Cali.
It's that in New York.
And if I'm not mistaken, was it not also an unregistered firearm? Which
is crazy to me.
And you got security. And the security guard disappeared. There's so many weird things surrounding this.
That's what I'm saying. It's I know a lot of people didn't believe it. Person I feel probably the worst for is Meg Thee Stallion, because she was the butt of a lot of jokes. And
was she really?
I think so. People didn't believe her. I remember 50 Cent came out and apologized to her too, because she sat down. Well, I understand the reason why 50 was saying what he said, because she sat down with Gayle and she was pretty much saying that she didn't have any. I did not have any sexual relations with that man.
So she was lying. Yeah.
So she got caught. You just got.
She also caught a Drake stray too.
Really?
Yeah. In the 21 Savage and Drake album, there's a song on there where he, Drake, how he plays on words, but I can't remember the exact bar, but basically it was something about shorty getting shots, but she's not a stallion.
Dang,
and it was a play on words in terms of getting shots from the, the BBLs and stuff like that. That's what he was playing on words, but you could clearly tell the play on words, what it was applying to.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was a clever bar. I'll give him that for sure.
But that's what I'm saying. It's she got a lot of flack for that. And even with her, she was I don't want to put him in prison, and she wasn't testifying and stuff like that.
She was riding at first. His goofy ass is what made her flip.
That's the thing.
Came out, and the music he was putting out when he first came back after the shooting was fire. The worst thing you could do is shoot at someone. They're ready to potentially not snitch on you, but not only do you release music, but the music has to be fire too. So now you got mad people playing it, and you gotta hear this as you go places. Now the villain in me has to come out.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yo, that shit where he was like, we've been at the gas station all night. Yo, that shit was fire.
It's unfortunate to see another music career kind of fall apart after just one night of ridiculousness.
Agreed. But he was one of my favorites before all of this happened.
And I don't know what's gonna happen. We gotta see 10 years from now. Is there a space for him?
He's
saw
Bobby Schmurber.
But I would say Bobby Smurger came out and he's now he's a YouTuber essentially.
Is he?
He's out there doing the Hoochie Daddy videos and shit like that. So
hell is that?
The Hoochie Daddy shorts.
He's doing that?
Yeah, he's the song. One of his songs recently is you ain't nothing but a Hoochie Daddy. And
he's washed up. It's over.
It's unfortunate because I thought he was in such a hot zone before he got locked up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens afterwards. I don't know if there's going to be much space for him. And then on top of that too, there's not much space for him to get like touring because he's Canadian. I'm sure they're going to
deportation.
And that's it. So
yeah. To lose the American audience.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to go to prison for any period of time and come back strong. Like Tupac was probably the only one that was able to pull that off successfully.
And that man, he was built different. So
yeah. It's Pac.
Yeah. So the next thing is, I feel like the next couple are a little bit delicate, I would say, just being the very sensitive world that we're in now. So the first one was Neo. He was on Vlad TV with Gloria Velez. And I think anytime you start anything with someone being on Vlad TV, it's going to be some trash.
So is that really where he was? Because I thought like Gloria Velez had her own podcast. They were on Vlad?
I think it's Vlad's created that. Let me double
check. He has his own Vlad TV network and she's under the umbrella of the Vlad TV. Okay. Because there's so many of these shows out there. I can't keep up with all of them. So I didn't really look into whose network or show. I just know it was Gloria Velez having the conversation with Neo. And things took a turn for some the worse. And people were upset by the words that he used, which...
So yeah, let's get into it. And I'm trying to have it in a very diplomatic way. And honestly, if you feel a strong way about this, please let us know in the comments. We don't know everything. If there's a space that we need to be, taught some things that we don't know, if you feel that strongly, we will create a second show just about this, just to have that conversation. And
that's fine. But I don't think in this particular situation, there's any teachable moments.
But we don't know. So I don't want to put that caveat before we jump into it so no one can say we did not. So basically, from my understanding, it sounded like Neo said that he doesn't understand that kids can essentially make, and I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Kids are not in a place to make life-ending changes about their life when it comes to like transitioning, and that he's as a father would not necessarily be on board with that. I think that's as close to the actual thing I could paraphrase. So
yeah.
that created a thing because we've gotten into a space where you either believe something or you don't believe it, and if you don't believe what the popular opinion is, you had the risk of being canceled. I think that is a scary world to be in, because if you're not in a place to have healthy discourse, you end up being forced into either silence or into a space where people don't have any identity that doesn't agree with whatever the popular opinion is. And honestly, I don't necessarily want to be in that kind of world. The fact that people are calling for people to get canceled instead of using this opportunity as teachable moments, it's baffling to me. But either way, there was a lot of backlash around him saying that. Then there was a post on his thing saying that he stands with the LGBTQ community. Then he came out and said, I want you to hear from my side. I am not the publicist's keyboard. I am not going to go back on my statement. And he's like, if I'm going to be canceled for that, maybe the world doesn't need Neo. I'm still going to figure out how to get it, and I'm going to do my thing. And I feel like we've gotten to a place where having a different opinion is literally potentially could potentially cost you your life and your livelihood. And it's scary. It's a scary place to be.
Yeah. And I guess because Wrapped is more about just informing people about the bigger stories that happen throughout the month, it's not really a place for opinion. But the man wasn't giving an opinion. He basically was saying how he feels about the fact that kids can make decisions about their lives in terms of that. But when it comes to other things like being able to drive, being able to smoke, being able to drink, even going to the military, those decisions cannot be made as a child. You have to wait until you get to a predetermined age before you can do these things. And he personally didn't feel like a decision like that is something that he would give his children the ability to make a choice on until they were of a certain age. And he wasn't really giving an opinion. He was saying, this is how I believe things are in terms of my family, and this is how I will conduct myself within my family. And if you don't like that, that's fine. If you choose to cancel me for that, that's fine. But this is my family. I have to raise them how I see fit, and I'm going to do so. And I respect that. Anyone that believes that they can tell another person how to raise their children or how to raise their family is an individual who needs to step back and take a long look at themselves, because you should never put yourself in the position of trying to dictate how other people run their lives. That's how I feel about it. If this is how he views the world and this is how he wants to raise his children, by all means. He's not abusing them. He's not doing anything that is potentially hurtful to them. He's just saying, hey, at this age, you can't make these choices. When you get old enough, you can make your choices. I see nothing wrong with that.
And honestly, the thing about it is it's a weird, we're in a weird, like I said before, we're in a weird space where people feel like they have the right to speak on things. And this goes both ways, right? They have the right to speak on things that doesn't really concern them directly. I mean,
self-evaluation.
It is a weird thing because I mean, one could say we're hypocriticals. We're talking about things that doesn't concern us here, but
we're not telling anyone what to do.
Yeah, but you know what? You're right.
We're not telling anyone what to do. Me personally, and I speak for myself on this, I personally do not care. As long as it does not in any way affect me, I don't care what anyone does in terms of raising their family. Now, if I see something that's potentially abusive or something like that, yeah, I may speak up on it. But for the most part, I go hands off. You have to do what you think is best for you as a human being. And
that may change, and that is fine. Like all those things, you know, like that's all of those things are a thing. So I don't know how much we want to get into that, but I just feel like
we're just reporting on what happened. It was one of the bigger stories in the month of August, and we're speaking on what happened. We're not specifically giving our own input or anything like that. We may agree with Neo. We may not agree with Neo. We're not here to speak on that. We're just here to say, hey, Neo, I believe what he said. He was well within his right to say that, and I believe that the man should be given the space to raise his family however he feels like it. If he said something that may have offended other people, okay, he did apologize for that, but at the end of the day, he's going to raise his family how he sees fit. Correct. And other people have the ability to raise their families the way they see fit. That's the reason why you have your family.
Yeah. The one area of opinion that I'm going to give that I would love to see in this world is that instead of people pushing to cancel people, is that let us stop and have the conversation. It's like it's people are very quick to pick up the pitchfork and go storm the building on the internet. Like I have a little bit more respect for the people who would show up with somebody with burning pitchforks because you made a decision and now people are just mad with Twitter fingers or X fingers. That sounds dirty. I don't want to go there.
X fingers.
But yeah, so I just would like to see a space where we could have that healthy discourse. And honestly, you never know. You may change somebody's opinion on something by having a conversation with them and not going in assuming that your position is the only one that's right. But with that said,
and stop being bullies.
Yeah, it's kind of manipulative.
Stop being bullies. Just because
So
people don't see the world the way you see it does not mean that that gives you the authority to quote unquote abuse, bully, cancel, speak down on, none of that stuff. Hey,
yeah,
this person sees the world differently than me, like you said. Maybe there's a time and place that we would be able to have a
exactly.
meaningful conversation and come to understand each other's points of views, and that's it. And that would be a nice change in the world.
100%. On that point too, is like, I remember there's a meme or a video, I don't know where it came from, where it's two people looking at the number 6 on the ground. One person standing at the top, one person standing at the bottom. And one person's arguing that it's a 9, and the other person's arguing that it's a 6. And technically, they're both right.
You want to hear something? You're not going to like it.
Okay.
But the first person that I've ever heard speak on that, and since then I have seen those memes, is the one dude that you don't like to speak about at all.
Wait, which
6'9".
like,
you know how he has 6'9" all over his body? When he first came out, he didn't want to explain to anyone why he has 6'9" on his body. And he said, one day I'll explain it, but now's not the right time. And I swear it had to be maybe 4 or 5 years after he had been out there. He was like, so the reason why I have this on my body is because he was like, if you're standing there and I'm standing here and you look at 6 and 9, no matter what direction you're looking at it from, I could flip it, you could go there, it's still 6'9". And he said the reason why that is because people need to understand that just because you see this version of me, it does not mean that, and he did a way better. It's kind of hard to say it, but he was way more eloquent with his explanation of it. But it really changed the way how I viewed him as a person after that. And I've also heard conversations with him about him, the way he looks at the YouTube algorithm and the way he looks at marketing and the way he puts out music and the way he puts out content, even what he did with the whole, he is one of the most calculated marketing, I don't want to use the word geniuses, but minds of our time. And people don't realize that, but yeah.
Well,
so yeah.
Moving right along.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We went deep on that. In the same vein, there was a post from Jamie Foxx that caused a little bit of also commentary and concern, where Jamie Foxx posted, they killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? And it said, fake friends, fake love. And people were essentially calling it anti-Semitic. And I am confused.
Baffled.
Like utterly confused.
Same.
Because I don't see it. Now, I know we had these conversations internally, so I'm gonna say it, but like, I could understand why people were mad at Kanye, even though I still feel like what he said was very mild.
The DEF CON thing?
Yes, because okay. I understand the why people were upset. This, I don't get. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get it either, because I honestly understood what he was saying the moment I read it. Because not only did he say what he said, if I'm not mistaken, with the original post below it, there was a hashtag fake friends.
Yep.
So unless you don't have any kind of reading comprehension, unless you're the kind of person that just likes to read things and immediately go into your bag of emotions, clearly he was talking about a situation that he himself encountered. And he's just saying, hey, these people, and I don't think he meant people of whatever faith or whatever ethnic background. He's just saying people that were close to him did this to him, and quote unquote, hashtag fake friends. Apparently the man went through something and he just used what happened to Jesus as an example. But
the thing about it is, you look at it, especially coming out of everything that's happened with Jamie Foxx over the last couple of months, literally, we had no idea if this dude was going to die or not, right? Mm-hmm. everybody was talking about it. They kept the code of secrecy in a way that I've heard Jamie Foxx has done forever, right? So nobody knew what was going on, but people were just coming out with outlandish comments around that. So I can understand why he feels the way he feels. I do not.
So you feel like that's where it may have sourced from?
I'm literally, this is my uninformed hypothesis on where that's coming from.
You're
and
right.
The timing of where all that came, because literally everybody was talking about Jamie Foxx, even when the case was coming up with him and the dude from the investor from the Wolf of Wall Street, the dude who Praz ended up going to jail or getting indicted about. Like all that stuff, they were saying Jamie Foxx was connected with this guy. And I get, like, if you're dealing with all this stuff and people are talking about it and they have no information, and because there's no information, people are running with it. It's on the blogs, it's on the internet, it's on, it's on TV. I can understand feeling like people will probably do some messed up stuff around you. And thank God that we went through the Facebook time when we did. Because if the Facebook time was anything like it is now, I would have definitely got canceled. I said some egregious stuff on Facebook.
Bro.
I'm so glad I lost my Facebook.
YouTube.
Oh my God. When they used to
forums.
Put the reminders of stuff on Facebook, you said? Oh my God. I was like, yo, who was this guy, bro? So if this time was then, a lot of things would be horrible, man.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I agree with you. People tend to hold people, quote unquote, and that's one of the big terms. Oh, we have to hold people accountable. Yeah, okay. Hold someone accountable for a version of themselves that no longer exists. That's crazy. But that's the world we live in today. Go ahead.
No, I said it's very weird what we want to hold accountable, because it's like there's celebrities that we want to hold accountable, but we don't hold our elected officials who are essentially put in place to be held accountable. We don't hold them accountable. But that's another conversation for another platform.
Oh yeah, that's a deeper conversation for sure.
This thing was just very odd to me, because there was like Jennifer Aniston's account had liked it, and then she had to say it wasn't her.
Disgusting.
And unlike it, and I'm like, how did this become anti-Semitic? And honestly, I want somebody to explain. If you see this and you could tell me definitively where this is anti-Semitic, I will. Matter of fact, we will reshoot this episode and add another section with your update. Like that, I feel so strongly about it. I'll do it by myself if Aaron's not gonna do it.
No, I'm down. Whatever. I just think it seems to me like people scour the internet looking for reasons to be offended these days.
The trolls used to be hidden, and now the trolls run the asylum. It's weird.
There's a whole other conversation for another day. But one of the things I have noticed is that the people who were pretty much in the minority position, the people who were not in the positions of power, have now come back with such force that they are now the bullies. And I have such glaring examples of that. It's insane, but it's the lack of the imbalance is it's crazy now.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. But I don't think there's anything else to add to that. We're just going to tie that section up. Call it a day. It's like the the world's too damn sensitive these days.
It's bad.
Let's move on. So the next thing is the very tragic fires in Maui that have been going on for a little bit, and it's kind of sad, because like so many of these things are happening, and there are people really connected to these devastations that we only hear about for a news cycle and then move on. So
yeah.
For me, I just want to send, any positive thoughts out to those people, like hopefully, we get this figured out and you're able to get some kind of organization to help you out, or,
hopefully the government has programs in place to help these people rebuild, because, even though Hawaii is one of the United States, the United States government does not have a very good track record for helping its own people out in times of distress. From my understanding, Katrina left that place in complete disarray, and for the most part, it's still like that. Meanwhile, we ship billions and billions of dollars overseas. So, yeah.
It is. I mean, it is. I mean, there's really nothing else to say.
No,
it's just
not
like
at all.
hope, like nothing but positive energy sent that way. And,
That's a fact.
hoping, I hate the thoughts and prayers thing, but like definitely some positive
What else
energy,
can you offer,
That's what I'm saying.
Even if you were to donate, what is your donation going to really do in terms of like the bigger picture? Maybe you might buy someone a meal for a day, but in the bigger picture, all you can offer is your prayers and thoughts if you're a praying person.
And if there is anything else that can be done and people have ideas, let us know. We'll use our platform to get it out there. But
Facts.
I just that's all.
Facts.
So in lighter news, more interesting news, I guess. Not the Maui fires, but more interesting news when it comes to the president, former President Trump.
This guy needs a reality show. Well, he had one already, but he needs another.
We are it. This is the Truman Show, bro. It's literally, we are a living embodiment of a show, and they keep writing it. It's Scandal in real life, and it is wild. So we're talking about Trump getting how many? That man is doing.
Seriously, he's one of the biggest criminals in the United States right now. He's got something in New
90?
York. He's got this is crazy. Man.
What was it? What was the last number they said? I think it was up there, bro. It was like 90
I don't know the
number.
Like I don't know the number.
Oh
All I just know is that this guy is a criminal, and he's a criminal in almost every state. It's insane. Even in his own birthplace of New York, like he had to. That's nuts, man. But for the first time, screenshots of his what is it called? The photo that
his
they
mugshot.
take. His mugshot were released. So that, but it's kind of interesting. Everyone else's mugshot, their hair is looking crazy. They still got crust in their eyes. They're wearing beat up, dirty clothing. It looks like something out of a horror scene. Like someone just woke up and took the photo. But this guy, I feel, how they talk about when you kill someone, you make them a martyr. I feel like his mugshot has gone on to create even more infamy for him. He looks like a supervillain. He looks like a badass. My man still has on the suit and tie. The grimace on his face, It's one of the hardest mugshots I've ever seen, man.
Well, you saw this one dude got it tattooed on him. I'm like, okay, you're going too far.
Someone did that?
Yeah, somebody got it. They got it tattooed.
I'm just saying, man.
I'm like, but the thing is, we've gotten to a space where people will do anything
for clout.
And anything. So, it is what it is.
Yeah. I don't know how this is going to be interesting. If this man actually does pull it off and becomes the president of the United States again. It's the first time that we'll have a president that has actually been, he has a mugshot out there.
Well, he's like playing a game, an elimination game right now. And like, if you think a basketball game, you're about to get knocked out on the last game. And if you don't play, you don't pull out your best stops, you're done. And honestly, like I was looking, he has 91 counts that he's, and if he doesn't become president, is a very high chance he's going to jail. Very high potential that he's going to jail. And it is crazy.
It is crazy.
I remember when I think we were doing a podcast when he got elected the last time.
I do remember that all those years ago.
I don't think we aired it. I don't think we aired it. I don't think we aired it. It was such a crazy, because we couldn't. Who would have believed he would have won in the first place? I guess he knew he was going to win. I mean, and to think that like he's up after all the stuff that's happened, he's going to run again. It's going to be. You talk about reality show. It is going to be a very interesting interesting next couple of years. I would say that to lose.
Yeah, the presidency used to be such a prestigious position, and between Bill Clinton, George Bush, this guy Trump, and Biden, they are doing a pretty good job at making a complete foolery out of this. I feel like Obama came in the middle of that and restored a little, even though you might not agree with everything he did while he was in office, he did restore some of the respect that came to that position. And then Trump got in power, and I feel like we went right back to where we came from. I'm surprised someone hasn't slung a shoe at him yet.
That man's fast. One thing he is, he might be old, but he's fast. Remember when there was a time when they shot, like they heard some noise and he went right, bro, that man. I don't think they'll be able to catch him with a shoe.
Oh man, yeah, he was a different one, man.
Yeah.
There's some things about his presidency I'll never forget. Like when 9/11 first happened and he was reading some story about a duck and they came and whispered in his ear, and my man's face was like, okay. But you know what, George W. Bush, if I had to choose between Biden, Trump, and Bush, I'll give Bush another run.
100%. Without a question. It's so crazy because he didn't do that crazy of a job now when you compare him.
Comparing, absolutely not.
And it's that's wild to think, but it is what it is.
Exactly.
The one interesting story is that, like, of all the people that ended up going to jail, a lot of them were released on bail. Then there was Harrison Ford for Blacks for Trump.
Harrison Floyd.
Wow. Yeah. Damn, I messed it up.
They got my man Harrison Ford, man.
Damn, son.
Damn.
Oh, my bad, son. But yeah, so there was a video of him saying that he wouldn't put up his, family's house for bond. And it was very interesting. I don't want to lean too much into the race thing, but it was interesting that the one dude for Blacks for Trump he didn't get out of jail. I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was interesting as well, and I wonder what his stance is after the fact.
Well, the thing is, I wonder if this was a cash grab because he raised the money for his bond. And is no longer in jail. So maybe,
You think he's a scammer?
I think he's a scammer. I'm sorry. His face, he got a scammer face, bro. I know this is completely opposite than everything else we were talking about before because I didn't believe it was Lizzo. But God dang it, that guy looks guilty.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are our main topics for today. We have some honorable mentions. These are going to be quick. We're not going to get too deep into them. We're just going to talk about it. So, rapid fire round. First, Cardi B should probably sign up for the Washington
Bronx Bombers.
No, I'm going to say Washington Commanders because they need some help. She got an arm on her. Who knew she could throw a mic like that?
And to be left-handed and accurate like that too.
Listen. She has a plethora of skills, and this was one we just found out. Also, just on the mic toss thing, did you see the 50 Cent toss?
Yeah.
What's happening? Why? First of all, I feel like 50 Cent has always been somebody you don't mess with. What did you say to 50 Cent to make him throw 2 mics at you, bro? It was like the source up in here, bro. He got 2 mics thrown at you.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you know what? People are, if it's one thing I have to say, people are going above and beyond to show that they are assholes. There's a lot of people doing a lot of weird things to celebrities, and these celebrities are putting hands on them because I saw, Drake is doing this tour. I saw a girl grab his neck. Like, why are you grabbing this dude's neck as he's walking down the stage? Another one touched 21 Savage's face. Seems like a dude was taunting Drake at one of the things and he was there having a back and forth with the dude. We have the situation with them throwing water at Cardi. Whatever they did with 50, it's like, it's weird that people pay these high ticket prices and then go there and then antagonize the artist. It's weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's been happening a lot recently too. Like,
a lot, people jumping on stages.
Yeah, and throwing shoes on stage. It's like it goes back to like people just want to be infamous. Anyway, moving along, rapid fire. First of all, Doja Cat, I don't know, man.
This girl is headed downhill fast, man.
Is it though, or is she just a marvelous marketer? Because
you know what, you might be right. She might not be going downhill. She is pretty much doing what she's always done, but it's becoming even more highlighted because this was also a woman that was sitting in an Omegle room with a bunch of racist people talking a bunch of nonsense. You know, this is the girl who became famous because she was dressed in a cow outfit talking about, bitch, I'm a cow, moo. You know, so what she's doing now is really no different from what she's always done. It's just different cover story.
The one thing that was odd in this case is that she directly went after her people
fans.
who were her fans. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's normally not a good look. I mean, and she lost, what, 200K as a result?
Which is a drop in the bucket.
Yeah, I mean, she's doing all right. But you know, over a naming thing, it's like people want, like, you know, people call it the beehive, all of the, you know, whatever. And it's, who does this matter? I mean,
shame on those people.
If you
just
want,
because you like someone's music, you got to call yourself a kitten. I mean, come on, get your act together.
I mean, listen, that is their thing. You know, like some people, I think at the core, this is the idea that people want to be a part of something. Whether
That's
it's
crazy.
a gang, whether it's a group, where it's a fan club, people want to be a part of something. So
that's crazy.
I don't agree with it 100%, but that's it. That is what it is.
Talking about you're a kitten, you're a beehive, you're a barb. Like, cut it out. Cut it out. Let's get back to reality here.
People want to be a part of something. But
crazy.
Moving along.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's been popping up recently about the dude who was in the Sandra Bullock movie. I'm trying to blank on his name. I thought I wrote it down. But the dude who was in the Sandra Bullock movie, The Blind Side, it turns out this guy was in a conservatorship. I can never pronounce that word.
Like what Britney Spears was in.
And they were taking a lot of his money. So it came out, and it was kind of weird because, I mean, I feel like I've seen The Blind Side. I mean, a lot of people have seen it. It was a good movie. Sandra Bullock, she acted her ass off in that movie. But either way, people's heard the story about this guy, and they were like, well, that's messed up. They need to take Sandra Bullock's Oscar away for playing the woman, because they're like, this family was taking the guy's money. And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. So she made a movie. They made a movie, and I don't know if she was a producer on the movie. Either way, she acted in a movie, did a great job acting that role out, got an Oscar, and because the person she's acting out did some crazy stuff, they want to take the Oscar away.
That's outrageous.
Wild.
Yeah, he got blindsided. That's the reality of it. Yeah. He got blindsided, and that's the reality of it. Sandra Bullock got her Oscar. Let's leave that alone. That's outrageous.
It's just interesting because, like, we don't get mad at, we don't say take away the Oscar for what's his name, the dude who played Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins. No one says take that away. And that's a crazy freaking story, right? Like, and there's so many instances where people play very great roles and they get accolades for playing that role. That doesn't mean that you take it away.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, I think we've gone too far. It's just like, I don't know how much is too far. It's outrageous. It feels like we go too far.
Yeah, for sure.
I think this one got cut off the list, but we'll touch it real quick. Damn, that sounded crazy, being that what we're going to talk about. But all the crazy stuff that's happening with the dude from the Spanish soccer team who went in and it looked like forcibly kissed one of the players after they won. I know some people are going to cut it out. I didn't take it out the list. So I got to read what's on the prompter. I'm like Ron Burgundy. It's wild. It's wild. I don't know if we have enough information to get what happened here. I know there's a lot of outrage. It sounded like it was they're saying it was a forcible kiss and it was, essentially very sexist. His name is Luis Rubiales. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know. I don't know. It just it feels like a little bit more of the same stuff that we've been going through. They're likening, they call this like Spanish Spain's Me Too
Come
incident. I don't know. It just, the argument is always like, well, if this happened to a guy, would you feel the same way? It's like, I don't know. I feel like celebrations in sports are always crazy. A lot of times it's inappropriate.
Yep.
Am I giving it a pass? Is this a Sukiana and why whatever his name is?
YK Osiris.
Is it that bad? I would say it's awkward. It feels very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily feel consensual.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
And until that girl actually speaks, because, everyone was outraged over what happened with Sukiana, and she wasn't as outraged as the people were. So,
yeah.
It's one of those situations where, for me, it just looked like it was a celebratory thing. Did he go a little too far? I would say so, but is it something where it's like, oh, it's the Me Too of Spain and let's cancel it? Come on, let's cut it out.
I did watch this dude go full Wolf of Wall Street, though. He's like, I'm not leaving, because they're trying to get him to...
They're different in Europe. That's one of the things I do appreciate. It's in the United States, everyone's apologetic and holding their head low and crying and blah, blah, blah. But in the rest of the world, people are a little different. You pull this nonsense in Africa, you pull this nonsense in Europe, you pull this nonsense, at least most of Europe. There's other places like England, for instance, that's pretty much on par with what happens here in the United States. You go to the Middle East, you go to most of Asia. These people do not care about this nonsense. So only here in the United States can someone make a mistake, the internet get all in a frenzy, and then that person pretty much tucks their tail behind their legs and then disappear. It's outrageous. It is what it is. The man made a mistake, or maybe he didn't. I need to know how the girl feels about it. Maybe she did or did not approve of it. Whatever the case is, it's something where if she didn't like it, I think an apology is something that he could probably provide. But why does he need to leave his role? Why? Come on, cut it out.
Yep. Well, rapid round, moving on. The last thing on this rapid round section was about the Republican debates, the primary debates. It was, I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't, which I'm going to have to hand off to you on this one, because I didn't even know that there were debates. And
yeah, it was. I missed it. I had to watch the rerun. I did not watch it live, but it was very interesting to see. What I'm noticing with politicians now is that it feels like we're getting worse and worse with our our options to select from. It's just like,
for sure,
it's like not interesting, same played out, same thing. I mean, as long as I've been paying attention to politics as I've gotten older, it just felt like it's been not that interesting. But from that debate, there was one glaring shining star, which was Vivek Ramaswamy, which is hilarious to me because he didn't look like anybody else on their stage. And he's very charismatic. He had some points that I was like, that's interesting. He had some points that I was like, bro, you really trying to get back to fracking and coal? Like, that's, we're going back. I get that there's like people who think that we should like go back that route, but like, you see how hot our summers are and the fact that everywhere is burning. Do we really want to go back there? But it's a little bit of pandering to the base, but he, in my mind, was the outright winner in that debate. Is he going to get the domination? Probably not. I saw him say recently that he's open to being Trump's VP, and it sounds like that's what he's trying to do. So, we shall see. I didn't think he would be a potential Republican candidate, but
here we are.
Here we are. So that's it for the honorable mention rapid round. We was a little bit slower than we did, but this is the first time we've done it, right? Because
I like it.
We haven't done it before.
And we fired through all of those in just over 10 minutes. So I think
good stuff.
I think that's a rapid round.
There we go. So the last thing we wanted to shout out was our Black Excellence section, which in hindsight, I feel like we should do this in the middle of our segments from now on, because people have to make it all the way to the end to talk about Black Excellence. And you know what? Maybe we'll do a whole different separate show about this. Time will tell. But the biggest thing that happened is we're talking about Ryan Leslie, who, in his own right, I will jump out there and say he is a genius. And I know we use the word genius a lot, you know, and a lot of people attribute the word genius to themselves, but I don't think I ever heard him say he was a genius. But this man here, the way he was able to go from making music to now he's like, he has built out this thing for financial literacy and is creating a space for that. I can't do nothing but applaud him. He's very good at conveying his message. He knows how to sell his what would have been some complicated ideas in a very digestible way. I like the way he goes about doing stuff, and the way he literally changed the whole music business. For him, it's like you don't hear him on the radio, but he's still actively doing his thing, touring, selling out. He has he's cut out the middleman when it comes to the music business and is doing his own thing. And now he's just extending it on. And we'll link the Forbes interview that he did in the description, but my God, it was a masterful interview. And
agreed.
And the stuff he's doing, I can't do nothing but, celebrate that.
Definitely applaud to him because, and you say he's a genius and he didn't call himself that, but I didn't even know he attended Harvard.
Yeah, man.
So he's a very intelligent guy. When he was in his prime in terms of popularity with music, he was doing good stuff. He released his own album, and the album he released, I liked it. And the stuff that he did in terms of production and stuff like that for other artists, I liked that stuff. He worked with Cassie, he worked with P. Diddy, he worked with Timbaland. He's got some really notable work out there. So he definitely did great things in the music industry. But as every other musician, over time, you kind of lose that buzz. And a lot of artists, they don't know what to do with themselves once that buzz dies off. He found a way to monetize his music with his core audience. He still travels. A lot of his shows are overseas now because that's where his biggest core audience is. But he actually, in an interview that I watched, said that he made more money off of one album being independent than he had in his entire music career when he was, on major label. So he's doing great things there still. He's still making good money there, and he's found a way around doing it without a major label. And then beyond that, the financial literacy, the investing vehicle that he's currently starting up and working one-on-one, I have to say, and just the way he presents it, the way he presents himself, the way he's well-spoken, just the way he dresses, the way he carries himself, I have to say, that is one of the sleeper hits in terms of Black excellence. Yeah. You don't know what's bubbling at the bottom there. And it's stories like this, where a man who was never really the biggest thing in music is still doing his thing and living a pretty damn good life without having to be at the forefront. I love that. And I hear things like this happening with even guys like Nas, who's a big angel investor and stuff like that. So there are some hip hop heads and just music heads in general who are doing really good things outside of the public eye. And yeah, definitely big applause to Ryan Leslie for what he's doing, because Black literacy in the Black community, financial literacy in the Black community is a place that is sorely underrepresented. So anyone underserved. So anyone that's going to bring that to the forefront, definitely got to clap it up for him.
100%. And I don't think there's much else needs to be said there. He's just killing it. I know that we've made it once we get a Ryan Leslie interview. So
for sure.
We can put that on the bucket list for
one day,
In-Crowd Network.
Yeah, one day.
But with that being said, I think that's it. That is all.
It's been another month wrapped up for you.
Listen, August was a heavy hitter. It had so many things. We talked about so many things, and so many things didn't even make the list. It was just so much going on. We expect September to be jam-packed also. But if you made it this far, you already know what I always say. I appreciate you. Let's make a space to start having some healthy discourse, man. Like, let's man, that's my parting words. Let's talk about it before you try to assassinate me. Let's talk about it.
Give us the chance.
At the end of the day, we appreciate you.